Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again today, people. Today we are here for another episode of Rider Gush. Man, we're here for another episode of Rider Gush. And man, what episode are we on right now? Which episode is this? So we're on episode 7. Oh my god, episode 7 of Rider Gush, and today we are doing Kamen Rider Gio. Kamen Rider Gio, and this is a series that I enjoyed it for the most part. I did at first. This is when we're coming off the Kamen Rider build high, and they like to set like the second episode, like the first 2 episodes. It's like him dealing with him actually like becoming a rider for the first time and being with build. And Sogo was, I don't know. He was fine. He wasn't Hotaru. He wasn't a Hotaru, but he still had his moments for me. But I still like Sogo a lot during his whole growth as a writer and things like that, especially with a lot of his movies. And it was that series where it was like, oh man, I wonder what writer is he gonna become next? What writer is he gonna do next? I think they sort of went in order. Some of them were like with the whole Ryuki stuff. Like he kind of didn't. They kind of did that in a weird way. Like they did Black Ryuki and regular Ryuki at once, and we had the whole like Kamen Rider Ryuki like crossover like mini series, which was very dark. But yeah, I did love a lot. I did like a lot of things about Gio. At first I didn't like his base suit. At first I didn't like it. It just seemed very like bland, and just like his helmet was very flat to me, which I get it, because I get why his helmet, I mean, it's supposed to be a clock, everything in here, a lot of stuff in here was like clock based, and his suit it didn't hit for me for a while. Body wise, it's cool. I like the body wise, maybe a little bit more armor on his back, but other than that, the body of the suit was cool. But overall, like the helmet just never hit for me. Like the helmet, like now when you get like to Oma Gio and Gio 2 and like those other forms that make the helmet stand out more, then yeah, that's when I start to really like enjoy like the suits. But like base suit, but also like staying on topic of suits, a lot of the rider form, like a lot of the ride watch forms, they were cool. I mean, some of them were like a little bit too bulky, but some of them were actually pretty cool. And I did like the concept of how he would get how he would get a new form, and he would have to specifically use that form to defeat another rider. Like, and another riders were like such a cool concept. Like the monster of the week is like a monster form of a rider. Like the another riders was just a really cool concept to me. I really like that concept, and they even continued it to a degree because we have another rider of 01. We have another 01, and he looked menacing. But the whole concept of another riders was like really dope, because this series was essentially supposed to be like an anniversary series. Like every form he got was basically just a armor form of a past legend rider. And I did like the fact that he would sometimes meet the original actor for that rider, or the original character for that rider. And he didn't do everybody. We didn't do everybody, but I really did love the idea of I have to defeat another Forze. I have to use the Forze right watch form. Like that was like a cool like concept to me. And another concept that Gio did was like the whole time travel stuff and the whole like connecting timelines and things like that. And it confirmed something for me when Kamen Rider Aqua came into the actual episodes, and I was like, oh man, that means Aqua's canon because he appears in an actual series instead of like a movie, and lets me know that whole Forza and O's thing happened. I always knew that movie was canon. That's like my favorite movie of O's and Forza, because O's and Forza are my, those are my top two. But yeah, like it proved to me like, oh man, Camarada Aqua's, he's canon and stuff like that. And then when you introduced Deno and you introduced Decade, and they also got like upgrades. Excuse me, they also got like upgrades and things like that, which that was actually pretty dope. Like, Decade got a whole new form, and well, not really new form. He got a new belt, and DN got like a whole new blaster, and which was dope. When Gabe basically essentially like making them like stronger. Like, I did love that aspect, and I did love how they connected the stuff with them too. I like how, they did a classic Decade stuff where sometimes he's a bat, sometimes he's your enemy, sometimes he's your ally, stuff like that. And he did play a pretty big role when it came down to Geo. Even with the crossover movie that happens after the ending of Geo, like Decade plays like a really like big role when it comes down to Geo. And I was just like, man, like Decade's still around. And I kind of hate that they ended that trend of, Decade meeting, like every writer it has met Decade. Like by the time we got to Reiwa, like none of the Reiwa writers have met Decade. And I kind of wish they could have kept that trend going. But we talking about Geo. So, but yeah, Geo's story it had its moments where it was like very inconsistent. Even though I did really like this season, because it's on Rider Gush, because I've watched it, and he was like, the story was very like inconsistent at times, especially when it came down to the concept of time travel, which is a concept that is very hard to get down. It's a very hard concept to nail down, and a very hard concept to do correctly, because there's multiple different ways to do time travel and things like that, like depending on how you do it. And man, but this series was pretty good. Like I said, another writer's very cool concept. Having Sogo try to go down this path of like, I don't want to become Omagio. Like, Omagio is like the end all be all. Like, I always wondered, like, since Omagio is like in the future, in the far, far future, and he's like the king and he rules everything and things like that, like, do the Reiwa writers exist? Like, does the 01, does 01, Saber, Revice, Yeats, and then Gachar, like, do they exist in that timeline? Because Omagio could just use the powers of every single writer, right? Well, every single main writer, right? So it's like, do our Reiwa writers exist? I don't think they do. I'm not gonna say, because they weren't thought of. I don't think they were really thought of at that point in time. But I would really like to see that concept explored. I would really like to see like what happened in the future, things like that, for the Reiwa writers to be actually exist. But other than that, the enemies in this, our main three villains, and I love the fact that our final villain was another Decade. Like, we had another Deno. And they took care of him. It took a while to take care of him, but another Decade was actually pretty cool too. He was actually able to summon a bunch of main villains from all like the main writer stuff, and I was like, you summoned freaking Evolt, and I was just like, we already know how freaking powerful Evolt is, and then Omagio is just out here one-shotting Evolt and all these other like really uber planet busting freaking writers and monster dudes. Like, it was super like just astounding to me when you see Sogo transform into Omagio for the first time. I was like, this is terrifying. This is utterly terrifying, and he had terrifying power. He's the freaking king. So it was like, I loved it. I loved when he just said it. Screw it. You killed Gates. I'm out here. I'm on you. I'm locked in now. Transforming into Omagio. Just throw away all my morals and values and throw away all the stuff I said before. If this who I have to be to defeat you, then I guess this was gonna happen, big dog. But yeah, man, Omagio was like, I think Omagio is like one of my favorite evil writers. I feel that way because he was so menacing. He was just like, yeah, I'm just one shotting all of y'all, you know. But that's the case with every final boss evil writer, dude. But Omagio just kind of takes the cake for me. But when it comes down to a lot of other aspects of the show, like character wise, I like the Waz. Waz was my favorite character in Geo. My bad. Waz was my favorite character, especially his whole henshin, how he got it, meeting Future Waz. Like, it was that whole Future Waz thing was a time. Like, that was an experience. He was actually transforming into Kamen Rider Waz, and the Kamen Rider Waz became my favorite rider in freaking Geo, and I love that. His whole henshin sequence, his henshin sound, like his whole like persona, like Waz's whole persona just was awesome to me. Whether it be Future Waz or regular Waz, like, and especially when he has to do with the whole speech and stuff like that. Every time Sogo got a new form or just did something awesome and stuff like that, he was extremely loyal to him. Like, I loved Waz. Like, he was the best, you know. So another thing, I did like how Geo introduced like writers that will be really cool if they had their own freaking series, aka Kamen Rider Quiz. I would love to see a Kamen Rider Quiz show. Kamen Rider Quiz, Kamen Rider Shinobi, and Kamen Rider Kikai. Kikai, man, a writer who's just a straight up entire just a robot dude, and his suit and everything, like, he was just an overall, just like the introduction of writers that were like really far in the future. Like, man, like, I know we got a Shinobi, you know, specials and stuff like that. We recently had him team up with Tycoon and stuff, and a bunch of other ninja based like Kamen Riders. But man, I would love to see a series with Quiz. I would love to see that. Quiz had to be one of the coolest, like, just pseudo, hey, this is a writer from another, like, from really far in the future, stuff like that. And I loved his attitude. I loved his whole thing. He was actually his actor was the same guy who did Red Buster, which was awesome. So seeing Quiz in his own mini series and stuff like that would be really, really nice. I would love that. I wanted to know this guy's backstory so freaking bad, yo. So bad. But overall, man, Kamen Rider Geo, it had its problems. It did. I saw a lot of people like not really liking the series and saying that the series doesn't deserve to be an anniversary series, which we get that. We get too many anniversary series, if I'm being honest with you. Like, we get them too frequently. But this series was pretty cool to me. It was pretty cool to me. And it was at a time where I'm like watching every single Rider series that comes out, which I'm still doing. But this series was dope. I liked it. I liked the concept. I liked the ideas that they had, but the story still was one of those things that was just would be going at first, and it just stopped being consistent and things like that. But overall, the story was good, but at the same time, it still had I still got my discrepancies about it. But yeah, man, Kamen Rider Geo. Whew, I got this off my list. I like Kamen Rider Geo, and he now added to the Rider Gush playlist. And go ahead and get him out the way. And then next, I don't know. I think we're gonna go ahead and go to Exade. Next episode on Rider Gush, we are going to do Kamen Rider Exade. So you guys stay tuned for that. You guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about Kamen Rider Geo or what you think about any other thing that I talked about in this episode. You guys let me know. I'm gonna see you guys next time. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. As remember, as I always say, stay Kenshin.